solve this triangle. Remember, solve the triangle means to us that we've got to find all three sides and all three angles. Well, to do this, I realize I've been given side, side, side. So that immediately triggers my little brain that I should be using law of cosines. And I know there's a side angle relationship. Biggest side is across from biggest angle. So let's go after angle B first, because it can be found using the law of cosines, because we can find any angle using the law of cosines. Angles are going to be between 0 and 180 in some way, shape, or form. All right, so that means we're going to use, this time, b squared is equal to, well, b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. A squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine of b. So I'm going to find out what angle b is. So I can make my substitutions. 19 squared is equal to 8 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 times 8 times 14 times cosine of b. Now, my objective is to get this all alone and then take inverse cosine. I have a 8 squared here and a 14 squared there. Notice what I'm going to do. I'm going to minus 8 squared from both sides, and I'm going to minus 14 squared from both sides. I hope that makes sense. If I have an 8 squared or a 64 on this side, I'm going to subtract 64 from both sides. If I have a 14 squared, I'm going to subtract 14 squared from both sides. So hopefully we can all agree that's going to give me 19 squared minus 8 squared minus 14 squared is equal to negative 2 times 8 times 14 times cosine of b. Now, for the life of me, I feel like students just forget their basics of math when they get this far. Notice what this is. If we consider this our variable, this negative 2 times 8 times 14 is a coefficient of cosine b. This times this times this times cosine b. So to get cosine b all alone, that's right. I've got to divide both sides of this equation by negative 2 times 8 times 14. So I get cosine of b is equal to 19 squared minus 8 squared minus 14 squared over negative 2 times 8 times 14. What I see here, a lot of students first subtract 8 squared and subtract 14 squared from both sides. No problem. Then they add this to both sides or something. I don't know. They forget that this negative 2 times 8 times 14 is multiplying by our cosine b. So we have to divide that. Please be careful there. I don't want you to see you make that mistake. So now this implies that angle b is equal to inverse cosine of 19 squared minus 8 squared minus 14 squared divided by negative 2 times 8 times 14. Now, I generally do it like this. I have one of those high-speed calculators, those CASs or those CX or any kind of TI-84. I even used to use Casios all the time. Humble brag. But I let my calculator do the walking. I love to use that control division button and write inverse cosine parentheses, control division, and I just keep it like this. Do I really care what 19 squared is, or 8 squared, or 14 squared, or the product of negative 2 times 8 times 14? I really don't care, because those are intermediary results, and what I'm after is the big prize. What is that angle? Okay, what I'm going to do here now, stick with me, youngsters, is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say angle B is, when I put this in my calculator, Doc 72, menu 9, make sure I'm in degrees in this case, I get about, now I say about because I've got to estimate this, right? It's not going to give me the exact answer. It's about, I'll go to the 100th, 116.80 degrees. And I look back here and I say, does this make sense? 116.80. Could that be? And I say, you know what, based on my picture, I think that's quite reasonable. All right, so now we've got to find angle A or angle C. I'm just going to, for the rock of it, I'm going to go after angle A. But look what I have now. I've got enough information to use the law of sines. Look, this is the heavy artillery. We got to carry this up the hill, and it is a bear. We're sweating a lot with it. Sine is lighter. The law of sines is lighter and freer. Why don't we go now and say sine of angle A over A is equal to sine of angle B over B, and substitute into that. So if I come over here to my second board, I can say sine of angle A over A, which was 8, is equal to sine of angle B, and we just found out B was 116.80 degrees over B was 19 feet. Now, what I can do with that is cross multiply. 19 sine A is equal to 8 sine 116.80. So let's round that to 120. So I've got 60 degrees to play with, más o menos, between angle A and C. I know that I'm never going to be finding an obtuse angle. So I just checked that to make sure, am I going after an obtuse angle using the law of sines? No, I'm not. I'm sure of it. So if I divide both sides by 19, I get sine of A is equal to 8 sine 116.80 degrees divided by 19. Now, notice, I don't really care what 8 sine 116.80 degrees is. And I certainly don't care what it is divided by 19, because what I want is angle A, which will be inverse sine of this mess here, right? So let your calculator do the walking and do the hard work for you. I love that control division button. Remember, if you don't have a control division button, you're going to have to put a parentheses around your numerator and a parentheses around your denominator. So you're going to have to use extra parentheses. And when you do this, you're going to get about 22.08 degrees. So we've got two answers there, right? We found 116.80. And then we just found this one here was 22.08 degrees. And of course, the sum of the interior angles of the triangle add up to 180. So at this point, we can say angle C must be 180 degrees minus angle B, which is 116.80, minus angle A, which was 22.08 degrees. And so let's make it easy on ourselves and find that angle C is about 41.12 degrees. So I did solve this triangle given SSS. That's what it was. That was our original triangle. Given side, 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 I said, oh, let's law of cosine. But once I've sort of broken it open, and provided I get this right, this first one, then I can switch over to law of sines. And then you saw I used the idea of 180 degrees, or the sum of the interior angles of a triangle, to solve for that last angle. So work smarter, not harder. You could have used the law of cosines 3 times, but that's a lot of work, right?